All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. I am Wicked Raider 22. We're going to go through a couple of things today. You'll have to excuse the rain in the background. We haven't seen rain in so long, so I'm a little excited. But as all of us beginners figure out very slowly, there are some areas in this game when we have to slow down and kind of see exactly what is available to us. So if you take a look, we are still at level 15, about 66% of the way there, working our way through with our champions, but there are quite a few areas that have opened to us. Had a chance, just did a video on Great Hall Tavern and Guardian Ring to give you a feel for what's happening there. We're going to click in, go ahead and claim our energy. We never leave energy out there and available, but there were questions, there were concerns, there were wonderings, and we're going to take a look at dungeons. So when you first open the game, this is actually one of the areas that is not available to you right away. And I'll be honest, there are probably a few reasons for that one. You want to start assembling your team. You definitely want to get your feet wet, but this is an area where you are going to spend a large amount of time. As I have continued to listen to various veterans, this is actually one of those areas where, just like we get into campaign, we are pushing our champions forward, whether to just grow them to use as food later. This is where we need those extra items, those artifacts, those cannot do without, because eventually you start ascending your champions. So Spirit Keep, Magic Keep, Force Keep, Void Keep, Arcane Keep, all of your keeps are where your potions will be located. Each color potion will also correlate with your champion. I can tell you now for Deliana, you guys are going to need to stay in Force Keep quite a while, because she needs several red potions to boost her during her ascension. Another one, if you have quite a few spirit champions, you're going to be in that spirit keep quite a bit. Same thing goes for magic. So I know with Elhain, we're going to start off in the magic keep, only because I want to have those potions available for her when we go in to start ascending our champion. Now, we'll break down each of these. Each boss is going to have a different requirement. There is a very important info button that I did not pay attention to for a long time, and I paid for it. So there's an info button. We're going to go through, we're going to read, we're going to break it down and see exactly what happens, because this is a dungeon kind of moment. Now, are you pushing through? Absolutely yes. Have I made it to level 25 even on my first account? Absolutely no. I think the furthest I've made it in all of dungeons across the board is about stage 12, which is where all the artifacts supposedly start getting really good. But guys, oh my gosh, it has been so difficult just to get to that point. So on to the left of the river, you'll notice also there's a tower here. I haven't unlocked this tower. I'm not sure if this is the one that opens during certain events with Sky Peak, or whether you reach a certain level to it. I haven't unlocked it even at level 41, so I'm going to keep pushing forward both ways to kind of see what happens there. We're going to go into Magic Keep first in just a second, but I want us to take a look on the opposite side. These are going to be the other 5 areas that are open all the time. You will hear talk about Ice Golem's Peak, Dragon's Lair, Spider's Den, Minotaur's Labyrinth, and Fire Knight's Castle. It has long been known that if you are hunting silver, which if you see our silver number, it's really low, Spider's Den is going to be one of your best friends. But keep in mind, these are open all the time. When we start talking about scrolls, when you want to look at masteries and adding scrolls to your champion, these make a huge difference in the power of your champion. Honestly, I probably did not start getting into Minotaur's Labyrinth maybe until I was level 30 or better. But I finally figured out how important they were, their overall purpose, and it has been amazing since. There will be events where you'll get the opportunity to do super raids, so twice as many rewards can come out if you're willing to go through and just kind of farm those areas. Since we are dealing with El Hain, let's dive into Magic Keep. You'll notice that potion drops is going to be the name of the game in this area. Lesser magic potion, greater magic potion, and superior magic potion. I can also go back into the tavern area to show you where these potions become really important. But you're going to need 10 lesser potions to create one greater magic potion. You heard me. There's a 10-to-1 swap. Just like you need 10 greater magic potions to make one superior magic potion. Now, before we dip into that, you may be saying, I'm not really following along. Take a look here in this bottom right-hand corner to the Bastion little moments. Let's go to the tavern, pop in El Hain, who should be ready for upgrading. But remember, we've got to deal with our champions first. But click on Ascend and take a look here. So she's going to need 4 blue potions in order to ascend. And I'll be honest, these are going to change over time, whether it's the lesser or the greater, whichever form is needed. But it shouldn't take us very long to acquire these. You are more likely to acquire the white potions as you are farming. So I've definitely noticed that over time. Let's take a look at another champion since we're already back in the tavern. For example, War Priest, she's dealing on the spirit side of our bannerness, and she's going to require the green potion. And then, of course, we have Sniper, which will be the only 3 out of our group currently that we're going to focus on, and she needs blue as well. So blue is going to be a huge one so we can start ascending our champions. Even though sometimes you aren't able to upgrade because you don't have the champions that you need to upgrade, you can definitely come in and take care of this. And we're on a longer stint right now. Magic Keep will be open for 6 days. So let's see if our champion can go in and get a little something done. We're going to stick with our same layout team-wise. We're going to switch positions. Now, the location of where you're putting your champions. I am in the process of learning this one. So anybody with tips, please drop them in the comments. I am all about it. What I have figured out is if I have a leader, so my lead champion that has an aura, remember that aura skill is going to be here, increases ally HP in all battles by 15%. So that applies to the entire team. I know that my healer, I like to put in right behind them. If I have someone who is throwing debuffs or anything like that. So if they're throwing something opposite of just nuking, I'm going to put them in this position. My hard hitter will go here. I normally put another person who has a spirit affinity, and then I finish up with a nuker. You're going to notice as you start moving your champions from one slot to the other, your team will behave differently. Pay attention to what their skill actually is. And when you find the sweet spot for each champion, you can go in, read about your villain, and then boom, you have a much better guide in your mind or a way to plan exactly what you want to do. Here's something else I did not, absolutely did not look at early on. It's the boss guide. So when it comes to strategy, which they offer that, teams of the week, which is at the top, there are a couple of things that you want to pay attention to. The first one is skills. What skills will I see? Mow, magic shield, ley line, defense up, and almighty immunity. Notice that these are passive. I'm going to tell you now, this almighty immunity, when you make it beyond stage 10 in this particular dungeon, y'all, she is healing herself by like 20, 30,000 points. Like, as soon as you think you're almost there, boom, she heals. And so we need a way. She's immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke. She's immune to almost everything. So the biggest thing is finding a way that you can deliver maximum damage in the shortest amount of time before her passes are able to kick in. Ley line is another one. Damage inflicted by each skill increases by 25% for each buff on this champion. So throwing a lot of buffs on her is not what you want to do. You want to be able to get in maximum damage before. Her magic shield is another one. She will place a shield buff on herself for 3 turns. Place either a 50% increase attack or a 30% increased speed buff, or a 60% increased defensive buff on the champion for 3 turns. Guys, just stop and think about it. If she can either increase her attack by 50%, she is eating away at your team, especially all champions that have a low amount of HP, or a low amount of defense. This is where that defense really comes back in, like we talked about in the Great Hall. Or if you're looking at an increased speed of 30%, depending on how hard she's hitting, it's still going to take out those champions, and most likely it's going to be targeted toward those spirit champions. If she hits you with the 60% increase in defense, it's going to slow down your ability to remove enough of her energy before this almighty passive pops in. Now, they'll let you know how it works. If you haven't gone to these screens before, sometimes you will have to pull your champions off of auto and actually run it manually. It can make a difference because you're noticing a pattern in her behaviors and the way she is delivering her skills as well. The 2 minions that help her, the left one places a 60% decreased defense debuff on your team. The right one will remove all the buffs from your champion. So you don't need someone who's going in and is consistently and continually throwing buffs, because that only aggravates those around her. Normally, my strategy is to take out her minions first, and then I target her directly. But I like to have at least 2 champions from the gate that are going after her the entire time. So, hey, let's see how this one goes. I'm a little nervous, but I think it can be pretty helpful for us. So we're going to run this one and just kind of see how it goes. She's only level 5. So I'm hoping we're going to auto, we're going to 2-time this thing, and let's see how we can go. It's always nice on round 1 and round 2 to get through pretty quickly so that everyone is intact. And I'm actually impressed that all 5 of our champions have made it through. So that's pretty nice. You can get a nice little increase as far as XP for your champions. So here's another thing. If you notice that there's a dungeon that you're able to get through comfortably and your top 4 or 3 champions can carry the team, I put in those lower champions so that you are filling their XP meter as you go. And it's really helpful when, of course, at this point, we want El Hain to come up to the next level. So if you take a look, did really well. 760 XP is where we are. Everyone else is going to be leveling up across the board except for my lead champion. So I can deal with that. Damage-wise, Sniper is going to come in 2nd place, kind of expected. War Priest is going to lose that turn because she's healing. And then, of course, we've got some defense across the board from everyone. Notice also the amount of tournament points that you acquired. This can be a big one. It's always nice to go into your dungeons just to keep an eye on things. And of course, as we get stronger, our time will decrease as well. Let's see how far we can push into this particular dungeon. These are the potions that I want to be able to acquire since they are closely related to my first 2 champions. Keeping in mind that we'll have to do the same thing in the other dungeon for our white potion as well. Now, dungeons can be a big one. Sometimes your champion, if they're on auto, you want to be careful because they will spend a lot of time focusing on the minions and not on the main boss. In Ice Golem, for example, there are a few teams that I run where we completely ignore the minions altogether because I figured out that before my team dies, I can get rid of him, which makes his minions die. So it's really not worth the effort of going after his minions in particular, because they also can be revived, and he will definitely revive them as well. And we'll talk about her passive because I think it's going to kick in noticeably on this next round. So we're stage 2, nice and complete. Let's go in for stage 3. Now, as we're looking at stage 3, you'll notice that round 1 and 2, these are kind of evening out. There are a couple of dungeons where your round 1 and 2 enemies are going to be pretty high level. Now, you're paying attention to not only how much energy has been impacted, this little shield here, guys, it gets you. It will definitely get you. But if you're noticing, here it comes. Those passes are going to start kicking in, and her energy level will remain high. So I'm thinking in my mind, we may make it to maybe stage 4, and then we're probably going to start having issues as a team. Having War Priest is really, really helpful. That one good kick in and Sniper will finish her out. But tournament points is a big one. And of course, every step of the way, we're looking to acquire as many potions as we can. Elhain, damage-wise, is still coming out on top. Sniper is still in second. And of course, War Priest is third. These two in the middle are going to be my food sources. Just earned another reward, which is always nice. The other good thing about dungeons is you have a chance to kind of go through and see some of the other champions that you may not have had access to just yet. So if you see a champion that kind of catches your eye, you're definitely on the lookout for them as you start acquiring champions. I'm going to try to keep my vault nice and tight, but we'll see how that works as well. We're up to level 11 on the minions. Now, a little thing about in combat overall, I like to keep Sniper in that last position. It's nice for her to go last. I know sometimes in campaign, the person in the last slot will actually go second. So it'll go between your campaign leader and their support over and over again. And you will get to a point where 2 of your champions will normally be enough to either demolish a team or completely weaken it by over 50%. And that's when you start seeing those additional skills in. Now we're stage 4. We've already lost 2 of our 5 champions, 3 of our 5 champions. So we're getting to the point, boom, level up for 16 overall. Now some of our champions may actually struggle just a little bit. War Priest will likely get close, so we'll see if we can get her close. But take a look, Word Bearer is now up to level 5, and Crusader has made it to level 17. Sniper is still creeping up to level 8. Whew. I don't know. This is a big one. She's still at 2 stars, level 16. I'm feeling like my team can probably pull this one out, but you never know. You never know. Now, if you get to a point where you start noticing that your team is dying repeatedly, that's usually when I go back in, I double check that I have upgraded everyone that can be upgraded. I take a look at what I have equipped them with as well. One of the reasons why at a later time, a lot of people will have more than one of the same champion is they have equipped them differently. And that's going to allow them the opportunity to go back and to switch that gear out. Keep in mind, as you are switching out gear, it becomes really expensive. I have a couple of pieces just to move that one piece, for example, can be 50,000 silver. And if I am anywhere between 1 to 300,000 silver, that's a pretty big commitment, especially if I have to move it more than once. So you want to be extremely careful. We may be bumping up against our team limit currently. I'm paying attention to which of the stars is creating the most damage. I'm also keeping a good eye on who's able to stop the turn meter or decrease the turn meter, who's able to kind of control that passive taking place, because that's another big one, especially for her. Yes, we have definitely met our limit here. So we went pretty far. I'll give it that. You will get a little reward. So we've hit defeat at stage 5 here. I can deal with that, to be honest with you. And there are going to be a couple of quests. Another thing is, even with your daily quests, notice that your white potions are there. And that's another dungeon we can actually come to as well. Always ignoring the pop-ups. We're going to collect our 20,000. And then we're going to come in, clear stage 3 of the magic keep. So that wasn't bad. Clearing stage 3 should be doable. It's nice to have that additional boost. I will likely go back in and rerun those dungeons up to that same point one more time. And then I'll come over the arcane, which is another one. That white potion, you're going to notice the arcane potion is one that is used with several champions across the board. So it's actually one that you're going to need. Be careful though, and pay attention to your energy, because your dungeons are not going to come through cheaply, but you are rewarded if you're able to make it past stage 3. Now he's a little bit different. He does give you the lesser, greater, and superior arcane potions. We've got some pretty good drops here. So you have your mystery shard, your ancient shard, your magic brews will be another one for XP, and then of course different amounts of silver. I am probably going to build this team about the same. Putting my war priest there because I want to go ahead and build out these particular champions as quickly as I can. And that will not happen if I'm not able to go in and to max them out. So let's see how we do. The setup is about the same, I think, for all of them. It's always like in the throne room across the board until you go to the other types. Now, we did not look at the boss guide. Let's look at our info. Info button for us shows our team compared to the enemy's team. One minion is already dead. One has no buffs or debuffs. He's dead as well. Now we have increased defense by 60% and then increase of speed. It'll give you a little definition for what the symbols here are representing. And these become so extensive and get so small over time that it's easy to even forget to kind of pay attention to what your enemy is, to what your team member is dealing with. Come on, the king. He has to go down. There we go. All right, so nice little level up. Everyone is in a pretty good place. It would be nice for Crusader and War Priest to kind of turn the corner with this one. Here's the boss guide. So Arcane comes with Wind Slash, Last Stand, and the Almighty Immunity, which is passive. This for all of your dungeons is going to be the biggest thing that comes into play. It allows you or forces you to pay attention to your defense and your efficiency rate. So knowing what that is, where that is going to be one of the best things that can happen for you. Last Stand places a 60% increased defense buff and a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns. So when Last Stand goes into effect, they're going to decrease your defense by 60% or increase his defense, by 60% and increase his speed. You have to be careful because this increase in speed is normally what takes you out when you make it to the very end. And if you take a look, it can get to the point where you are extremely covered in those buffs and those lingering attacks. So let's see if we're able to, I'm assuming on most of these, we can probably make it to stage 4 before we start kind of struggling. But it will be different when you go into different dungeons. It's all kind of based on which champions you've decided to improve so far in your game. So that'll give you a good idea as well. And this will be our last video, and then we will reconvene after we've done a little bit of dungeon work. If you guys have not started dungeons, I would definitely encourage you to go in and see the type of potion your lead champion at minimum is going to require. If you're keeping in mind, a lot of people push you to 6-star that first champion first before working on anything else. That can be kind of hard to do because you're always running with that same person through campaign, through dungeon, through arena. So there are a lot of areas you may want to kind of tap into, but you're limiting yourself to just that one champion to be able to do it. But it can most definitely be worth it. What I'm going to look at from here is focusing on gathering potions for my top 3 champions. That's how our focus is going to go. I feel like at least with a team of 3, I leave myself with some flexibility, especially when you have champions, for example, like Crusader and then Word Breath, because they're there, even though they're in the position of being sacrificed later, the skills that they do have, like Rally, for example, can definitely come in handy when you're in these types of situations. And I believe we're up to stage 3. So as you start to progress and you're starting to see your teams develop, it definitely changes how you play. Guys, remember, free to play is all about attention to detail. Is probably the biggest thing. You're sacrificing time in place of just going in and purchasing your shards. It's tempting. I'll be honest. I made it pretty far on my first account before making that first purchase, but eventually I just wanted gems and wanted to be done. So we've made it to stage 3 in our arcane dungeon. Of course, this is going to lead us to our challenge. They do offer these for each of the keeps. So you'll notice the Void Keep and Spirit Keep. You have those available to you as well. And as you're coming back, and kind of if you're wondering, what are we going to use these potions for? Remember, we're going to go in. We can ascend the champion now because we have the materials that are needed to ascend that champion. This will also move you up tournament position, but it will also allow your champion to go in to tap those skills that are necessary. But I just want to thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been pretty good so far. I'm going to push through the dungeon a little bit more, see how many potions we can pull out with our champions at this particular level. You guys grind out. Be sure to let me know your progress in the comments, and I will see you soon. Have a good one.